The first thing I noticed wasn't the smell of sugar or the warmth of the ovens. It was the way she smiled at people who didn't smile back. I stood there longer than I should have. Halfway inside the small bakery, the bell above the door still echoing faintly behind me. Morning light poured through the windows, catching dust motes in the air and turning them into something almost magical. But she was the only thing that held my attention. She handed a bag of pastries to an older man, whose hands trembled slightly as he counted his change. "You're short $2, she said gently. The man froze, embarrassment flooding his face. I can put something back." She shook her head and pushed the bag toward him. "Or you can come back tomorrow and tell me if you like the cinnamon rolls." His eyes softened, gratitude shining through. "I will, thank you." She just smiled like it was nothing. Like kindness cost her nothing at all. That was the moment I knew I was in trouble. I didn't come for pastries that day. Or at least that's what I told myself. I came because my office was a block away, because I needed coffee, because it was convenient. But convenience doesn't explain why I kept coming back. Every morning. Same time, same corner table, same quiet observation of the way she moved through the shop. Like she belonged to every person who walked through the door. Her name was Emily. I learned that on day 3 when someone called out, "We're out of blueberry!" She laughed, brushing flour off her apron. Then we improvise, and somehow she always did. I learned she owned the place, that she opened it 2 years ago after her mom passed away, that she baked everything herself, cakes, pies, cookies, things I didn't even know how to pronounce. And I learned that she never turned anyone away, not the single mom who sometimes paid in coins, not the teenager who lingered too long without buying anything, not the construction workers who tracked dust onto her clean floors. She treated everyone the same, with warmth, with patience, with a kind of quiet dignity that made you feel seen. It didn't make sense to me, not at first. I worked in a world where everything had a cost. Time, effort, kindness, it was all transactional. You gave something, you expected something in return. But Emily didn't seem to play by those rules. One morning, I finally spoke more than just coffee black. "You ever think people take advantage of you?" I asked, nodding toward the door where a man had just left without paying. She didn't look up from icing a cake. "All the time." "And that doesn't bother you?" She paused, then glanced at me, her eyes calm but steady. "It does. But not as much as the idea of turning someone away who really needs help." I frowned. "You can't save everyone." "I'm not trying to," she said softly. "I'm just trying to be kind while I can." That should have been the end of it. A nice thought, a simple philosophy. But it stuck with me. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. My visits became less about coffee and more about her. About the way she tucked stray hair behind her ear when she was focused. About how she hummed under her breath when the shop was quiet. About how she always made sure I had a fresh cup before I even asked. We fell into an easy rhythm. Conversations that started small and stretched longer each day. "Why baking?" I asked once. She smiled faintly. "Because it was the only thing that made my mom feel better when she was sick. Even when she couldn't eat, she liked the smell." I didn't know what to say to that. So I just said, "That's really beautiful." She shrugged, but her eyes softened. "It's just baking." But it wasn't just baking. It was love. You could taste it in everything she made. And somewhere along the way, without realizing it, I fell for her. Hard. The kind of falling that sneaks up on you. The kind that turns ordinary moments into something meaningful. The kind that makes you notice when someone looks tired or when their smile doesn't quite reach their eyes. I noticed, and one evening, after closing, I saw something I wasn't meant to. She sat alone at one of the tables, head in her hands, shoulders shaking. I hesitated by the door, unsure if I should leave or stay. But then she wiped her face quickly, like she didn't want anyone to see, and something in my chest tightened. "Emily?" I said softly. She looked up, startled. "Oh, I didn't know you were still here." I was heading out. I stepped closer. "Are you okay?" She forced a smile. "Yeah, just a long day." I didn't believe her. "Talk to me." She hesitated, then sighed. "Business isn't great. Costs are going up, and I've been covering for people who can't pay. It's catching up to me." My stomach dropped. "Why didn't you say something?" She laughed weakly. "What was I supposed to say? Hey, I'm struggling because I can't stop helping people?" I ran a hand through my hair, frustrated. You can't keep doing this alone. I'm not alone, she said, though it didn't sound convincing. You are, I replied gently. At least right now. Silence stretched between us. Then she said quietly, I don't want to lose this place. It's all I have left of her. That hit harder than anything else she'd said, and for the first time I understood. This bakery wasn't just a business. It was memory, love, grief, hope. It was everything. I won't let that happen, I said before I could stop myself. She looked at me surprised. You can't promise that. Maybe not, I admitted. But I can try. And I did, not in some grand, dramatic way, but in small, steady steps. I started bringing in clients from my office, suggested the bakery for meetings, helped her set up an online ordering system, talked her into raising prices just a little on certain items. She resisted at first. I don't want people to feel like they can't afford it. They won't, I said. And the ones who truly can't? You'll still help them. That won't change. It didn't. But slowly things got better. Not perfect, not easy, but better. And through it all, we grew closer. Late nights turned into shared dinners. Casual conversations turned into something deeper. Something real. Still, I never said it. Never told her how I felt. Maybe I was afraid. Or maybe I just didn't want to risk losing what we already had. Until one day, everything almost fell apart. A developer bought the building next door. Plans for expansion, renovation, modernization, which meant higher rent, which meant the bakery wouldn't survive. I found out before she did. And when I told her, I watched the light in her eyes dim. I can't afford that, she whispered. We'll figure something out, I said quickly. But for the first time, she didn't look convinced. Days passed in a blur of uncertainty. And then, one evening, she handed me a small box. What's this? I asked. Try it. Inside was a slice of cake, simple, beautiful. I took a bite, and for a second, everything else disappeared. It was perfect. You've outdone yourself, I said. She smiled, but there was sadness behind it. It might be my last new recipe. No, I said firmly. Don't say that. She looked down. I don't know how to keep this place anymore. Something in me snapped. Not anger, but clarity. Before I could overthink it, before fear could stop me, I laughed softly and said, well, I guess there's only one solution. She looked up, confused. What? I shrugged, trying to keep it light even though my heart was pounding. I joked once, remember? I said. Will you marry me? I'll eat every cake you bake. There was a pause, a long, breathless pause, and then she said, quietly but steadily, I thought you'd never ask. Everything inside me stilled. Wait, what? She smiled, really smiled this time, tears shining in her eyes. I've been waiting for you to say it. Not like a joke. Emily, I didn't mean to. Well, I did. But I didn't. I stopped, exhaling. I love you. Her expression softened. I know. And I don't want a life where this, I gestured around the bakery, or you, disappears from it. You're sure? She asked. I've never been more sure of anything. She stepped closer, slipping her hand into mine. Then yes. The word settled into my chest like something permanent, real. And in that moment, the future didn't feel uncertain anymore. It felt possible. We didn't magically solve everything overnight, but we faced it together. And somehow that made all the difference. Because kindness, hers, mine, the kind we built together, it wasn't weakness. It was strength. The kind that holds people up when everything else tries to tear them down. And as it turns out, love isn't always grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes, it's a joke that isn't really a joke, a promise hidden in plain sight, and the courage to finally mean it,